चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुन् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातां सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नमो ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनेति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। गुरवे गौरचंद्राय राधिकाय तदालये कृष्णाय कृष्ण भक्ताय तद्भक्ताय नमो नमः। आनंद लीलामय विग्रहाय हेमावदिव्य छवि सुंदराय तस्मै महाप्रेम रसप्रदाय चैतन्य चंद्राय नमो नमस्ते। चैतन्य चंद्राय नमो नमस्ते। चैतन्य चंद्राय नमो नमस्ते। Hare Krishna. Before I begin, I would want to express my obeisances at the lotus feet of Om Vishnupad Nityalila Pravishta Rupanuga Acharya Varya Shri Srimad Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada and all the Rupanuga Gaudiya Guru Varga and all the wonderful disciples of Srila Prabhupada. Secondly, I want to express my gratitude to Kirtida Sundari Mataji and Priti Vilasini Mataji for very kindly having me at the service of all the devotees here at Bhakti Sangha. And finally, I want to express my heartfelt gratitude to all the assembled devotees. For the devotees who have joined seeing the flyer, just a disclaimer that the flyer had a lot of nice preparations in the form of rice and dal and etc. So I just wanted to make this point out that Bhakti Sangha is not organizing a feast today, but the topic that we are going to discuss is centered around the theme of prasadam. So for the devotees who have joined seeing the flyer, I'm very sorry to disappoint you that it's not going to be a feast, but I really want to prostrate myself and express my gratitude and take your blessings and best wishes so that I may speak some favorable words in the glorification of today's topic. Vanshakakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. So this morning we are reading from the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Antilila, chapter 16, text 88 to text 93. So we will read all the verses at one go, and then we can begin our discussion. Text 88. He nakale Gopal Vallabha bhoga lagaila Shanka Ghanta Adi Saha Arati Bajila. The offering of food known as Gopal Vallabha Bhog was then given to Lord Jagannath, and Arati was performed with the sound of conch and ringing of the bell. Bhoga sarile Jagannathera sevaka gana prasadalaya prabhuthai kaila agamana. When the arti finished, the prasadam was taken out, and the servants of Lord Jagannath came to offer some to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. माला परैया प्रसाद दिला प्रभुरा हईते आस्वाद दूरे रहो यार गंधे मन मते. The servants of Lord Jagannath first garlanded Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and then offered him Lord Jagannath's prasadam. The prasadam was so nice that its aroma alone, to say nothing of its taste, would drive the mind mad. बहुमूल्य प्रसाद से वस्तु सर्वोत्तम तार अल्प खाओयते सेवक करिला यातना. The prasadam was made of very valuable ingredients. Therefore, the servant wanted to feed Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu a portion of it. Tara alpalaya prabhu jivhate yadi dila arasab govindera achale bandhila. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu tasted a portion of the prasadam. Govinda took the rest and bound it in the end of his wrapper. कोटि अमृत स्वाद पाइया प्रभुरा चमत्कार सर्वांगे पुलक नेत्रे वहे आश्रुधार. Translation: To Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the prasadam tasted millions upon millions of times better than nectar, and thus he was fully satisfied. The hair all over his body stood on end, and incessant tears flowed from his eyes. Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita ki jai. Srila Prabhupada was once traveling from Australia, and Harikesh Maharaj was his servant during that time. So Prabhupada was traveling from Australia and he was going to Hawaii. And when he was in Australia, Prabhupada wrote a letter to Rameshwar Prabhu, one of Prabhupada's disciples. Prabhupada wrote a letter to Rameshwar Prabhu saying, why isn't anyone printing my books? In fact, it was meant for Rameshwar Prabhu. He said, why aren't you printing any books? I have labored so much. I have toiled so much, day in and day out. I have had sleepless nights and I've written so many books. Why aren't these books being published? And Prabhupada, he went to Australia, and then when he came to Hawaii, from the airport of Hawaii, Harikesh Maharaj called Rameshwar Prabhu and he said, you better be prepared with an answer, because Prabhupada is mad. He is furious. He is fuming as to why his books aren't being published. So if the mics could be muted, thank you. So when Prabhupada reached Hawaii, Harikesh Maharaj, who was the servant, he called Rameshwar Prabhu and said, you better be prepared with an answer, because Prabhupada is in a Raudra form. He's very angry and he's asking, why aren't my books being published? And we can imagine what was going through Rameshwar Prabhu's mind, because if our spiritual master is angry and furious at us, we can only imagine what he would be going through at that spur of the moment. And this didn't end. Prabhupada, in fact, had organized a meeting in the New Dwarka Temple, Los Angeles. And he had invited all the sannyasis. He had invited all the GBC. He had invited practically all his senior disciples to come to Los Angeles Temple only to discuss this point, that why aren't his books being published? So you can imagine how difficult it would have been for Rameshwar Prabhu. So many people from all sides practically cornering him. So when Prabhupada came to Los Angeles Temple, Prabhupada gave the famous arrival address. And in the arrival address, Prabhupada said that my spiritual master, he would always say that whenever you get money, you print books. Whenever you get money, you print books. Prioritize printing of the books as the first business. Books are the basis. If there are books, then people would get convinced on this path of Krishna consciousness. Books are meant to philosophically convince us to take up this process of chanting and dancing in Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Sankirtan mission. So in that lecture, Prabhupada was saying, where are the 17 books? Where are the 17 books? Where is the 17 books? I have toiled and labored so hard, but why isn't anyone publishing? So precisely Prabhupada was pointing to these 17 books that were unpublished. And Rameshwar Prabhu says that every time Prabhupada was asking this question, it was like a thunderbolt to my heart. It was as if Prabhupada was pounding on my heart. So the next day, when Prabhupada went for the morning walk to the Venice Beach, the famous Venice Beach morning walks where the discussion of life comes from life took place, where Sripad Bhaktiswarup Damodar Maharaj was the central figure, and Prabhupada would go out and discuss about life comes from life with Sripad Bhaktiswarup Damodar Maharaj. At that time, one morning, Rameshwar Prabhu also decided to go on a morning walk with Srila Prabhupada. And when this discussion was going on, suddenly Prabhupada put his cane down to the ground and he looked at Rameshwar Prabhu and said, where are the 17 books? So only previous day in the arrival address, Prabhupada had asked this question. And in less than 24 hours, Prabhupada again looked at Rameshwar Prabhu and said, where are these 17 books? Why aren't you publishing them? So by this time, Rameshwar Prabhu had thought of an answer. So when Prabhupada posed this question, he said, Prabhupada, we have come up with a plan. And the plan is we can publish one book in about 2 months. In about 2 months, we can publish one book. That is possible, Prabhupada. And then he said, Prabhupada, if we can double our speed, then it is also possible that in 1 month, we can publish one book. So he thought that Prabhupada would be very happy. He thought Prabhupada would say, wow, it is very nice, very inspiring. And Prabhupada was walking. And then all of a sudden, Prabhupada again stopped and he said, one book a month, which means 17 books will take 17 months. Prabhupada said, I don't have so much time. Prabhupada said, I want all the 17 books to be published in 2 months. In 60 days, in 2 months, I want all the 17 books to be published. And Rameshwar Prabhu spontaneously said, Prabhupada, that is impossible. That is just not possible. And Prabhupada looked to him and said, impossible? Impossible is a word in the Fool's Dictionary. I am not asking you. I am instructing you. I want all the 17 books out in 2 months. And Rameshwar Prabhu, in his memories, he says, when Prabhupada gave that instruction, it was not just an instruction. Prabhupada infused Shakti. He infused Bhakti Shakti into the heart of all his disciples who were present that time to empower them to establish and to fulfill this task of Prabhupada of publishing 17 books in 2 months. And dear devotees, for the next 2 months, Rameshwar Prabhu and his team, they practically did not even sleep. They were sleeping in the printing press with their head to their desk, and they would just sleep for a few hours, but the remaining time, they would just help in publishing these books. And in fact, Prabhupada was present at Los Angeles because he wanted to see whether this publishing is going on in the right spirit. Now the question arises, why are we discussing this? Dear devotees, those 17 books were the 17 books of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. The 17 books that Prabhupada prioritized so much, and he was pounding literally on the head of Rameshwar Prabhu so that it can be published. These 17 books were none other than Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. And Prabhupada, he was begging and pleading. In the arrival address, we can find Prabhupada says that I'm begging you, please help me publish this English version of the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. Because this English edition was never given in the past. It was always the Bengali edition. But it is Srila Prabhupada for the first time not just gave the English edition of the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, but also illuminated the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita with its transcendental purports. And this Antilila is one of those sections of the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita where Gauranga Mahaprabhu is in the mood of Srimati Radharani. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu here is in the mood of Radha Bhav, tasting the mellows, tasting the mood of Srimati Radharani. And we find in this section, as we discussed, the scene that is outlined is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is in Jagannath Puri, and the pujari has just offered bhoga to Jagannath Dev. And when the bhoga has come out as prasad, he has gone personally to give it to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is tasting this bhoga, there is transcendental emotions, transcendental ecstasies, hair standing on end, and tears flowing from the eyes of Gauranga Mahaprabhu. Pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are very difficult to understand, especially this section of Antilila. That is why we find Kaviraj Goswami, he says, Chaitanya Chandrera Leela Aghada Gambhir Praveshe Karite Nare Sparshara Hitir. He says, Chaitanya Chandrera Leela Aghada Gambhir. The pastimes of Gauranga Mahaprabhu are very deep. It is such an ocean that it is unimaginably deep. And so Kaviraj Goswami, who is the celebrated author of Chaitanya Charitamrita, he says, Pravesha Karite Nari. He says, I myself, I don't have the eligibility to enter into this ocean. Now, of course, Chaitanya Kaviraj Goswami is out of his humility. He is saying that he doesn't have eligibility. But it is actually an instruction, a subtle way of telling all of us that this Antilila is far beyond material understanding. One may read through the pages, but till the time one doesn't have kripa, till the time one doesn't have mercy, as Srila Gaur Govinda Maharaj would say, till the time one is not blessed with sadhu guru kripa, the mercy of a pure Vaishnava, till that time one can not really understand the deep pastimes of Gauranga Mahaprabhu, especially in this Antilila section where Mahaprabhu is in Jagannath Puri with his confidential servants. So Kaviraj Goswami says, Pravesha Karite Nare, I don't have the eligibility to enter into these pastimes. Sparsha Rahitir. He's saying, I'm only touching the shore of this ocean. So the whole of Chaitanya Charitamrita is nothing but a drop from this whole ocean. So we can imagine if the drop is so deep, how deep the actual ocean would be. Kaviraj Goswami says, this is just a drop from this unimaginably deep ocean of Gaura Prem. So in this section, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is tasting the remnants that has touched the lips of Krishna. And that is why we find this chapter 16 is entitled Tasting the Nectar Emanating from Krishna's Lips. So we find when Srimati Radharani, when our Radharani was very small, you see in Vrindavan, small girls are called as Lali. So when Lali was very small, she was playing around with her friends. And at that time, a Muni, a Rishi walked by. And the moment the other friends of Radharani, when they saw this Rishi, immediately they ran to their homes. Why? Because this Rishi was none other than Durvasa Muni. He was Durvasa Rishi. And we know Durvasa Rishi is known for his anger. So all the Sakhis, all the friends of Srimati Radharani, they ran to their home. But Radharani was sitting and she was playing with the mud. So Durvasa Muni came and he said, Lali, I am feeling very hungry. Can you give me some sweet rice? Will you be kind enough to prepare some sweet rice for me? And Radharani, immediately she agreed. So she went inside to Kirtida Maya and she said, Maya, our Durvasa Rishi is outside. So can you give me some ingredients to make sweet rice so that I can prepare sweet rice and give it to Durvasa Rishi? So immediately Kirtida Maya, she gave all the ingredients that is required. And our Lali, Srimati Radharani, she prepared the sweet rice and gave it with her small palms. She came and she gave it to Durvasa Rishi. And when Durvasa Rishi had the sweet rice, Durvasa Rishi felt a burst of transcendental nectar in his heart. And he thought to himself, I have had at so many houses, because we find sadhus, they go from house to house. Bhavati Bhiksham Dehi. They ask for, they beg for food grains. But this is the first time he ate something that he had never eaten in the past. This is the first time he felt something that he had not experienced in the past. And he immediately understood that this has to be the transcendental preparation of Srimati Radharani. It is because of Radharani's power potency that this sweet rice, which is already sweet, now it has become 1,000,000 times more sweeter, 1,000,000,000 times more sweeter, 1,000,000,000 times, 1,000,000,000,000 times more sweeter in taste. And Durvasa Rishi, he blessed Lali and he said, "Oh Lali, I bless you that anyone who eats from your hand, they will not fall ill, they will always be famous, they will always be beautiful, and they will not be affected by any diseases. COVID-19 will not affect them if you eat from the hands of Srimati Radharani." So that was the benediction that Durvasa Rishi gave our Srimati Radharani, Lali. So naturally, this news spread. We find that even in devotee circles, when it is glorification, the good deeds always spread very fast. But if it is something wrong, then devotees always make sure that those wrong deeds are not spread across. So naturally, Durvasa Rishi had blessed our Srimati Radharani with this boon, and this news reached Nandagaon. It reached Maya Yashoda. And when Maya Yashoda heard this, she immediately called Lali and she said, "Lali, you have been blessed by Durvasa Rishi. Can you come and cook for Krishna? Because you have this blessing that anyone who eats from your hands, they will not fall ill. So it is my humble desire. If you can cook for my Krishna, then our Krishna can be chubby. He can be fit. He can be healthy. He can play with his friends. He can go for gocharan. He can herd his cows and no disease will ever affect him." And because the request came from Yashoda Maya, for Radharani, Yashoda Maya and Kirtida Maya are one and the same. So because the request came from Yashoda Maya, our Lali, Srimati Radharani, she agreed. And she would go and cook for Krishna every day. So on the same lines, Shripad Raghunath Das Goswami, who is our Prayojan Acharya, who cried and wept on the banks of Radhakund for 45 years. Shripad Raghunath Das Goswami for 45 years was weeping and crying on the banks of Radhakund. "He Radhe Brajadevi ke chalalite, he Nanda Suno Kutha." The Shad Goswamis would cry and weep. Where is Srimati Radharani? Where is Krishna? Where are the servants of Srimati Radharani? And Raghunath Das Goswami was no exception. So he would cry this way, and in one of his works, Raghunath Das Goswami, very beautifully, he illuminates our pastime. He says that once Srimati Radharani had prepared nice sweets. She had prepared rasgullas, she had prepared rasmalais, she had prepared gulab jamun. The devotees whose videos are on, I can already see that there is devotees are already smiling hearing. So Radharani made beautiful preparations in the form of gulab jamun and rasmalais and rasgullas. And now her desire was she wanted to give this to Krishna. But due to some reason, that day Radharani was not able to go. So Radharani was searching as to which servant of hers can go and give this preparation to Sri Krishna. So at that time, she turned around and Tulasi Manjari or Rati Manjari was present. Who is Rati Manjari? Raghunath Das Goswami. So Raghunath Das Goswami in the spiritual world has two names, Tulasi Manjari and Rati Manjari. Same personality, but addressed by two names and different readings. So she looked around and Rati Manjari was present. So she said, "Oh Rati, I have made this sweet meats, beautiful sweets, and I want you to go and give it to Krishna. Will you be kind enough to go and give it to Nandagaon, to the house of Sri Krishna? Will you give this to Yashoda Maya?" Because at this point, Srimati Radharani and Tulasi Manjari or Rati Manjari were at Yavat. So from Yavat, Radharani was asking Rati Manjari to go all the way to Nandagaon. And when Rati Manjari heard this, she immediately became so happy and so excited. She said, Srimati Radharani, I have always been yearning and longing for this service. So your instruction, your order is on my head. Whatever you say, Srimati Radharani, I am your servant. Just like we say, Gopi Bhartur Padakamali or Das, Das, Das Anudas, because Tulasi Manjari and Srimati Radharani, for them it is Gopi Bhartur Padakamali or Dasi, Dasi, Dasi Anudasi. Sripada Indra Prabhu would say, for the Manjaris it is Dasi, Dasi, Dasi Anudasi. So Tulasi Manjari, she agreed and she said, Radharani, definitely, you please give me all the preparations. For you, I will go all the way and give it to Sri Krishna. So Srimati Radharani, she put all the sweetmeats in a golden pot and covered the pot with a white cloth, and she gave it to Tulasi Manjari. Now the question arises, why not Rupa Manjari? Because Rupa Manjari is Rupa Goswami, and we know Rupa Goswami or Rupa Manjari is the fountainhead of all the Manjaris. So why did Radharani give it to Tulasi Manjari and not to Rupa Manjari? Well, that is because Srila Raghunath Das Goswami himself, he says that at that time, Rupa Manjari was not present. In that assembly, Rupa Manjari was not present. So naturally, if there is anyone after Rupa Manjari, it is Tulasi Manjari, who is Raghunath Das Goswami. So this instruction of taking all the sweets from Yavat to Nandagaon was given to Tulasi Manjari, and Tulasi Manjari took 5 or 6 Sakhis, friends with her, and she decided to walk all the way to Nandagaon. And at this time, Yashoda Maya, she was waiting because she knew that she was expecting that Radharani would come with the sweets, but it had already been time and she was waiting. Why isn't anyone coming? Like we find many times when the child has told his mother that, oh mother, I will be home at 4 o'clock. And if it's 4:10 or 4:15, the parents, especially the mother, she becomes so panicked. She kind of walks in and out of the house, peeping outside whether my child has come, whether my child has come. It is already 4:15. So every moment is like a millennium. Yugaitam nimeshena. For mothers, every second is like a millennium. So likewise, Yashoda Maya was walking in and out of Nanda Bhavan, waiting. Why isn't Radharani coming? It's already been so long. Every day at this time, she's already here, but she has not come till now. So she was waiting. And at that time, Tulasi Manjari, with the pot on her head, with all the sweets covered with a white cloth, she comes with all the sakhis. And Yashoda Maya becomes so happy that now these sweets can be offered to her Krishna. Now her Lala can have the sweets from her Lali, because Lali had prepared the sweets. So Tulasi Manjari came and she placed the pot of sweets at the feet of Maya Yashoda. And naturally, Tulasi Manjari bowed down to give her Dandavat Pranams, to give her obeisances. But when she bowed down to give her obeisances, Yashoda Maya caught hold of the arms of Tulasi Manjari and embraced her tightly. Because for Yashoda Maya, there is no difference between Radharani and Tulasi Manjari. So she saw Tulasi Manjari also as her daughter. So she embraced Tulasi Manjari very tightly. And she said, Tulasi, you don't have to give me obeisances. For me, you, Radharani, and Krishna all are one and the same. So please do not give me obeisances. You are like my daughter-in-law. Just like Radharani is like my daughter-in-law. Similarly, oh Tulasi, you're also like my daughter-in-law. So Yashoda Maya tightly embraced Tulasi Manjari, and she took the offerings that Tulasi had brought inside so that she could give it to Krishna. But at that time, our Lala, our Krishna was not present. Krishna was coming back to his Nanda Bhavan after herding his cows. So Krishna and Balram were coming with all the cows, and all the cows were making sound, moo, moo. All the cows were making sound. And so much so that we can imagine if thousands and millions of cows are walking, the dust of Brajadham, Brajadhuli was completely in the air, and Krishna was completely decorated with the particles of dust of Brajadham. So when Krishna was coming this way, Tulasi Manjari was seeing from a distance, because she could see the cows, because cows were making the sound, cows were moving, but she couldn't see Krishna and Balaram. Why? Because Krishna and Balaram were completely covered with the sand. And naturally, as the Brajraj settled down, Tulasi Manjari and Yashoda Maya could see the beautiful smiling face of Krishna. And Krishna was charismatically walking with his brother Balaram, holding all the cows and the calves. And when Krishna entered Nanda Bhavan, he took his bath. And after taking his bath, he came and he sat on the lap of Nanda Maharaj. Krishna sat on the left lap of Nanda Maharaj, while Balaram sat on the right lap of Nanda Maharaj. Sripad Raghunath Das Goswami is so deep in his meditation that he is actually giving us a graphic representation. We can actually imagine that Krishna has come after herding his cows. Krishna has now taken his bath. Krishna is now sitting on the left lap of Nanda Maharaj, and Balaram is sitting on the right lap of Nanda Maharaj. And along with Nanda Maharaj, his brothers Upananda Maharaj and Sunanda Maharaj are also present. And likewise, Yashoda Maya and Rohini and Dhanishta Gopi are also present. So Nanda Maharaj is taking the sweet and giving the sweet to Balaram, because Balaram is older. He's Dau. Dauji ka bhaiya, Krishna kanaiya. So he's first giving it to Dauji. And when he's giving to Balaram, naturally Krishna is opening his mouth, because Krishna also wants. We see small kids, when someone is given something, naturally the small child also opens his mouth to show that even I want the same thing. So when Nanda Maharaj was giving the sweet to Balaram, Krishna would open his mouth wide. And when Nanda Maharaj would give it to Krishna, Balaram would open his mouth wide, saying, Baba, I want that sweet. So in this way, there would be a tug of war of love between Krishna and Balaram as to who would have those sweets. And Nanda Maharaj would give one sweet, one bite to Balaram, and one bite to Krishna. One bite to Balaram, one bite to Krishna. And when Krishna had this prasadam, it was just like Durvasa Muni experienced a transcendental burst of nectar in his heart. Similarly, Sri Krishna experienced a transcendental burst of nectar in his heart, because he knew that this was prepared by Srimati Radharani. Our most worshipable Srila Prabhupada had a very unique style of indicating whether the prasadam is prepared well or whether the prasadam is not prepared well. And Yamuna Mataji, who was one of the very dearest cooks of Srila Prabhupada, she says that once Srila Prabhupada was sitting with Pishima, and Yamuna Mataji was given the service of preparing prasadam. So she prepared and she took it into Prabhupada's room. And after some time, about 30 minutes later, after Pishima and Srila Prabhupada had the prasad, Yamuna Mataji was taking the plates and she was going outside. And she asked Prabhupada that, Prabhupada, how was the prasad? Was everything okay? And Yamuna Mataji says that just like if this question is asked to us, we would say, yes, Prabhu, or yes, Mataji, the prasadam was very tasty. But Prabhupada, because he was so unique, even his way of indicating things, way of expressing things were very different. Yamuna Mataji says that Prabhupada had a standard way of indicating how the prasad was. If the prasad was very okayish, very below average, if it was not cooked properly, then Prabhupada would point to his tummy, saying that it is okay, very okay. If the prasad was very good, Prabhupada would do this way, which means good. And if the prasad was excellent, Prabhupada would say, like over the head. So Yamuna Mataji would say that Prabhupada had this style. If it was like okayish, he would point to his tummy. It was good, this way. If it was excellent, he would do it this way. So when Yamuna Mataji asked this question, Prabhupada did this way. And Yamuna Mataji says, I was so happy to see my spiritual master love what I had prepared. So likewise here, Krishna also loved the preparation that Srimati Radharani had prepared for him. But now, Krishna not only facilitates Sakhyaras, he facilitates Vatsalyaras, but he also facilitates Madhuryaras. Krishna is the Lord of all the rasas. So when Krishna was being given these sweets at that time, Madhumangal was also present. Now we know Madhumangal is Krishna's friends, Krishna's dear friend who is actually a foodie, who just loves to eat, who has a very big tummy and who loves to eat all the time. So the preparation that Radharani had made was Manohar Laddu. And this Manohar Laddu is the favorite of Madhumangal. So when it came to other sweets, Madhumangal did not say anything. But when it came to Manohar Laddu, Madhumangal said, Oh Maya Yashoda, I have to tell you something. And Maya Yashoda said, What is it, Madhumangal? Madhumangal said, Actually, today when we went for herding the cows, when we went for Gocharan, Krishna personally told me that Krishna has an upset stomach. Krishna is not doing well. He has not told you, but actually Krishna has an upset stomach. So now if you give him this Manohar Laddus, I fear, Maya Yashoda, just as a friend I'm telling, I fear that he may spoil his stomach. So what you can do is you can give this Manohar Laddus to me so that your Lala's stomach is not upset. And Maya Yashoda, when she hears, she starts laughing. She says, yeah, I know how much spoiled the stomach of Krishna is, because everyone knows that Manohar Laddus is the personal favorite of Madhumangal. So when Madhumangal says this way, everyone just bursts into laughter. So Sakhyaras is facilitated. At the same time, Vatsalya is also maintained because Rohini and Yashoda and Nanda Maharaj are also present. But when everyone got up, after Krishna had his prasad, after everyone got up, Krishna very secretly took some of his remnants and gave it to Dhanishta Gopi, who was also present in that assembly. Krishna very secretly gave it to Dhanishta Gopi. And just through his eyes, through his glance, he gave this indication that please give it to Srimati Radharani. So Dhanishta Gopi very secretly took that remnants and tied those remnants in her cloth. And this is exactly we find here, dear devotees. Govinda is taking those remnants and tying it in his cloth. So Dhanishta Gopi takes those remnants, ties it in her cloth, and goes outside and gives it to Tulsi Manjari, who's still waiting. It's been 2.5 hours. Tulsi Manjari is still waiting so that she can get the remnants of Shri Krishna. So now when Tulsi Manjari gets the remnants of Shri Krishna, she immediately runs through with all her friends. She runs back to Yavat, and it's been 2.5 hours. Radhika is still waiting, so much so that Raghunath Das Goswami says that whole day Radharani had not eaten anything, because Radharani doesn't eat anything till the time it is not offered to Krishna. That is the level of devotion that Radharani has. She eats only Krishna Prasad. She eats only that thing that has touched the lips of Shri Krishna. So all day she was waiting. And finally, when Tulsi Manjari came with the remnants, Radharani looked at the eyes. She looked eye to eye in Tulsi Manjari, and she asked Tulsi Manjari, did Krishna like it? Did he eat all the sweets? Or was there any particular sweet that he liked? And at that time, Tulsi Manjari says, Radharani, O Radhike, Krishna loved all the sweets. Everything that you prepared, Krishna loved very much. And when Radharani heard this, Radharani felt very blissful that she could serve Krishna by making this beautiful preparation of sweets. And there, Tulsi Manjari sat down. Lalita Sakhi sat down, Vishaka Sakhi sat down, and Radharani also sat down. And Radharani gave the duty, the responsibility to Tulasi Manjari to divide the remnants of Krishna amongst all the assembled devotees, all the assembled Paramahamsas who were present. And when Radharani when she had a morsel, just one morsel that had touched the lips of Sri Krishna, Radharani fell to the ground. There were tears flowing from her eyes, 5 streams of tears flowing from her eyes, hair standing on end, teeth chattering, skin going pale, throat being parched. All the Ashta Sattvic Vikar, complete ecstatic transformations were seen in the body of Srimati Radharani just by having one morsel that had touched the lips of Sri Krishna. And dear devotees, we find in this section, the same point is brought about. In Krishna Lila, Krishna gave his remnants to Radharani via Tulasi Manjari. And here in this section, Jagannath, who is not different from Krishna, is giving his remnants to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is not different from Radharani, through the Pujari. We find it is the same parallels between Krishna Lila and Gaur Lila. There is no difference. That same Krishna who gave his remnants to Radhika has now appeared as Jagannath. And that same Radharani who had those remnants has appeared as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Jagannath Dev is giving the nectar of his lips to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And now when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is having that prasad that has touched the lips of Jagannath Dev, we find in text 93, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's hair is standing on end, his tears are flowing from his eyes, throat is being parched, skin is going pale. Exactly the same transformation that Radharani had when she accepted the preparation, when she accepted the remnants that had touched the lotus lips of Sri Krishna. So we find a very interesting point here, dear devotees, that Krishna Lila and Gaura Lila are not different. Like Gaur Govinda Maharaj would say, Krishna Lila is Gaura Lila is Krishna Lila. There is no difference. The only difference between Gaura Lila and Krishna Lila is Krishna Lila and Gaur Lila are separated by time and space. Krishna Lila took place 5,000 years ago, while Gauranga Mahaprabhu's pastimes took place 500 years ago. Likewise, Krishna's pastimes took place in Brajadham, and likewise, Mahaprabhu's pastimes took place in Nadia, and his final pastimes took place in Jagannath Puri. So that is the only difference. But apart from that, it's the same mood that is carried. The same mood of Radharani, the same mood of Krishna is carried in Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Where Krishna Lila ends, that is where Gaura Lila begins. That is why we find Kaviraj Goswami in the Madhya Lila, chapter 25, he says, Chaitanya Lila Amritapur, Krishna Lila Sukarpur, Dui Mili Hoye Sumadhurya, Dui Mili Hoye Sumadhurya. What is Kaviraj Goswami saying? He's saying, Chaitanya Lila Amritapur, Krishna Lila Sukarpur. The pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they are like condensed milk. And the pastimes of Krishna Lila are Sukarpur, they are like camphor. Now what happens when milk and camphor come together? Dui mili hoye sumadhurya. Oh, when these two substances in the form of milk and camphor, when they come together, a very sweet, refreshing beverage, a very sweet, refreshing drink is formed. Sadhu Guru Prasade Jara Yei Aswade Sei Jane Madhurya Prachurya Sei Jane Madhurya Prachur. Kaviraj Goswami says, Sadhu Guru Prasade Yara Jai Aswade. Only by the mercy of Sadhu Guru, like we mentioned in the start, only by the mercy of a pure Vaishnav, Jara Yei Aswade, only such a person can understand the deep esoteric meanings behind the pastimes of Gauranga Mahaprabhu. Sei Jane Madhurya Prachur. When one becomes a Kripa Patra, a recipient of mercy of a pure Vaishnav, then he can understand the sweetness of Radharani tasting the remnants of Shri Krishna that Tulasi Manjari has brought. Or one can understand the sweetness that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the mood of Radhika is tasting the remnants of Krishna, who has now appeared as Jagannath through the Pujari who was serving Jagannath Dev. So in this way we find Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is right now in Jagannath Puri and is in the mood of Srimati Radharani. And one interesting point that we find is when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was in Jagannath Puri, there were only a handful of associates who were there with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the form of Swarup Damodar, in the form of Rai Ramananda, and in the form of Govinda, who was personally serving Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Here we find in verse 92, the mention of Govinda is there. So only few associates were there with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So much so that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu even tells Nityananda Prabhu, he says, Prati Varshe Nila Chale Tumi na Asibo. He tells Nitai, Prati Varshe Nilachale Tumi na Asibo. Oh Nitai, every year you don't come to Nilachal. Don't come to Jagannath Puri every year. Why? Because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mood was you stay outside, stay in Gauda Desh, stay in Mayapur Dham and preach about love of Godhead. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is in Puri tasting Radha Bhav, but he wanted Nitai and other associates to stay outside and preach the message of love of Godhead. And dear devotees, we find in one of the last lectures, His Holiness Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj makes the same point. He carried the same mood that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is referring to or mentioning here to Nityananda Prabhu. We find when Bhakti Charu Maharaj was at ISKCON Ujjain, one of the last classes that he gave before he flew to America, when this question was asked from the audience that Maharaj, why are you going to America when there is COVID-19 going on? And Maharaj very emphatically in the mood of Gauranga Mahaprabhu, he said that Prabhupada never wanted us to just live in the dham and not preach. Prabhupada wanted us to be outside and preach. Just like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave the instruction to Nityananda Prabhu that Gauda Deshe Rahibo, Mora Ichha Safala Karibo. That live in Gauda Desh and fulfill my heart's desire of preaching the message of love of Godhead. Similarly, Bhakti Charu Maharaj carried the same mood of being like a commander, leading from the front and traveling to the United States in order to fulfill the message of Gauranga Mahaprabhu and to fulfill the message of Srila Prabhupada. So we find that the disciples of Prabhupada are carrying this mood that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has illustrated in the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, that higher than just staying in the dham and not preaching is to live outside and preach as much as possible. So it is for this reason, dear devotees, we find when Mahaprabhu is in Jagannath Puri, only a few associates are there, while the rest of the associates are outside preaching the message of love of Godhead. When Srila Radhanath Swami Maharaj was in Ohio State University, when he was preaching at Ohio State University, this is in the 1970s. So Maharaj would conduct classes there. And at the end of the class, there would also be prasadam distribution. So Maharaj himself would personally cook and he would also deliver classes. So at that time, one gentleman who was a Catholic, who was a Christian, he came to that assembly and he sat behind and he was hearing to what Radhanath Maharaj was saying. And when he came, he brought a big Bible along with him, just so that to make sure that whatever he's hearing is not affected by that. So he brought a big Bible and he was sitting holding on to that Bible. So his one ear he was hearing to what Radhanath Maharaj was saying, And at the same time, with his hand, he was holding on to the Bible. And Maharaj gave a very beautiful class. And at the end, when there was prasadam distribution, at that time, this person, he was walking out of that assembly. So Radhanand Maharaj, from a distance, he saw, and he came and he told that person that now is the main time. Class was done, but now is the main anga of bhakti, to have prasadam. This is such an anga that during class, probably everyone sleeps. But during prasad, seldom do we find anyone sleep. So Maharaj said that now is the time for prasadam. So no, please come and have prasad. So he said, no, I fear that probably ISKCON would have added something. Like, many times we hear this, that probably ISKCON adds something because of which people have, and then they become Hare Krishna devotees. So he told Radhanand Maharaj, no, I fear that probably you would have added something. So Maharaj said, nothing. I have prepared myself. You trust me. There is nothing. And after repeated discussion, after this went back and forth for some time, he finally agreed. And he came and he sat down. And that day Maharaj had made halwa. And now we know ISKCON halwa is very famous, especially in India. In all the Indian temples, halwa is something that people can literally wait in line for hours and hours together. So that day Maharaj had made halwa. And Maharaj gave it in 1 cup. So this gentleman, he had 1 cup of halwa. And he said, is there more? And Maharaj gave a 2nd cup. And then he had the 2nd cup. And in this way, he ended up having 6 cups of halwa. And at the end, he said, when is the next program? Not because he wanted to attend the class, but he was so enamored by the taste. He loved the taste of prasadam so much that he asked Srila Radhanath Swami Maharaj, when is the next program? So Maharaj understood that the prasadam is now taking effect. And dear devotees, we would be happy to know that just by having the prasad that had the nectar of Krishna's lips, and that was personally prepared by Srila Radhanath Swami Maharaj, that person instead, he ended up becoming a devotee and a disciple of Srila Radhanath Swami Maharaj. So this is the power of prasadam. This is the power when Krishna puts his nectar, when the nectar of Krishna's lips enters food, it no longer becomes food, but it becomes prasadam. And however atheistic the person is, by having prasadam regularly, the heart can be completely transformed. So we find in this section that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is tasting the nectar of Krishna's lips. And we find the same point in the Venugit section, Canto 10, chapter 21. In the section of the Venugit, the Braja Gopis, they are transcendentally jealous of Krishna's flute. They are transcendently jealous of Krishna's Venu. Why? Because the Braja Gopis are thinking to themselves that what has this flute done? All the time he's embracing Krishna, which means when Krishna tucks the flute to his waist, it's almost like Krishna is embracing the flute. So the Gopis are saying all the time he's embracing Krishna, and when Krishna is playing the flute, Krishna is pouring the nectar of his lips inside the holes of the flute. So the nectar of Krishna's lips, which is actually our property, this flute has taken it. The Braja Gopis are saying that the nectar of Krishna's lips, that is our property, but now this flute has taken, and we cannot do anything about it. So the Braja Gopis are like transcendently jealous that the flute is taking their share of the nectar that is emanating from Krishna's lotus lips. But at this point, my worshipable spiritual master, Param Pujya Bachla Radha Govinda Goswami Maharaj, when he was speaking on this, he made a very wonderful point. Srila Guru Maharaj, he said that what can we learn from the flute? Why is it that Krishna is giving so much nectar of his lips to the flute? And Srila Guru Maharaj said, the flute is dharashrit, which means dhara means mother earth, and ashrit means to take shelter. So the flute is dharashrit, which means it is taken shelter of mother earth, which means it is coming from mother earth. but now the flute has become a dharashrit, which means it is off the ground. Why? Because Krishna is holding the flute in his hand. So it is now a dharashrit. And Srila Guru Maharaj continued by saying the flute is dharashrit, but now it has become a dharashrit because it has taken shelter of Krishna's adhar ashrit. Adhara also means lips, and ashrit means taking shelter. So it's a play of words. That flute, which is coming from Mother Earth, is now elevated because Krishna is holding on to his hands. He's pouring the nectar of his lips. So our acharyas say that now the flute is elevated, even though it is coming from Mother Earth, because it has taken shelter of Krishna's adhara, which means it has taken shelter of Krishna's lips. Similarly, what can we learn from this? We are also dharashrit. We are also coming from dhara, that is Mother Earth. But now if we want to become a dharashrit, if we want to become elevated, which means if we want to go back home, back to Godhead, we have to also take adhar ashrit. We have to take shelter of Krishna's lips. And taking shelter of Krishna's lips means taking shelter of the instructions that are emanating from Krishna's lips, which is nothing but the Bhagavad Gita. So if we also want to experience the nectar of Krishna's lips, then the flute, the Venu, is teaching us that just like he is Dharashrit, he has now become elevated by becoming a Dharashrit because he has taken shelter of Krishna's lips. Similarly, we are a Dharashrit. If we want to become a Dharashrit, which means if we want to become elevated, we have to take shelter of Krishna's lips, the nectar that is emanating from Krishna's lips, that is the Bhagavad Gita. So we find the Bhagavad Gita is such a sacred text that will help us taste the nectar that is emanating from Krishna's lips. That same nectar which here Gauranga Mahaprabhu is tasting in the form of prasad can also be experienced by regularly studying the scriptures like Bhagavad Gita. And not just the Bhagavad Gita, but also scriptures like the Bhagavatam and the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. And finally, dear devotees, to wrap up, we spoke about Sripad Raghunath Das Goswami, how he describes the beautiful pastime of Radharani preparing and giving it to Krishna via Tulasi Manjari and Radharani having those remnants. Now let us switch to our Sambandha Acharya, that is Sripad Sanatan Goswami. Sripad Sanatan Goswami in his Brihad Bhagavatamrita, he says that we find the whole of Brihad Bhagavatamrita is centered around the life journey of a personality by the name Gopakumar. And when Gopakumar went back home, back to Godhead, when he was sitting with all his friends, he was sitting with Krishna, he was sitting with Balaram, he was sitting with Madhumangal, and he was sitting with so many other friends. After such a long time, Gopakumar had come back in the dear association of Sri Krishna. So at that time, when the friends were all sitting together, Radharani had prepared some sweets. Radharani had made some puris and some sabji for Krishna. And she had sent it to Krishna. And from a distance, Radharani was seeing whether Krishna is going to accept, whether Krishna is going to taste what she has prepared. But at that time, Krishna, he just took one morsel and he gave the rest to Gopakumar. And at that time, Radharani was thinking to herself, why did Krishna do that? I have prepared all this for Krishna, but seems like he just took one morsel and has given the rest to Gopakumar. But Radharani was, because Radharani is the dearmost servant and the expansion of the Supreme Lord, dearmost devotee of Sri Krishna, she understood this fact that Krishna wanted Gopakumar to taste the nectar of his lips. Krishna, he just had one morsel and gave the rest to Gopakumar. Why? Because Krishna wanted Gopakumar to experience two things. First, he wanted Gopakumar to experience the preparation that Radharani had made, the transcendental nectar that Radharani had prepared. And second, Krishna wanted Gopakumar to experience as to what it feels to taste the nectar that is emanating from Krishna's lips. Because this is the first time Gopakumar had come back after a very long time. So there it is described, Sripad Sanatan Goswami describes, when Gopakumar had the nectar of Krishna's lips, Gopakumar fell to the ground and there were tears from his eyes. There were hairs standing on end, teeth chattering, throat going parched, skin going pale. Exactly the same symptoms that we find Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is experiencing here by tasting the nectar of Krishna's lips. Similarly, Gopakumar, when he tastes the nectar of Krishna's lips, he falls to the ground, unconscious, unable to fathom as to what is this transcendental nectar that is prepared by the loving hands of Srimati Radharani and has been blessed by the lips of Sri Krishna. So we find in many readings, whether it is the Brihad Bhagavatamrita or the works of Raghunath Das Goswami, prasadam has been given a lot of emphasis. Just like in the society of animals, the Supreme Lord appears as Varahadev. In the society of aquatics, he appears as Matsyadev. In the society of human beings, the Lord appears as Ramachandra. In the society of transcendental land, he appears as Vrindavan. In the society of mountains, he appears as Giriraj Govardhan. In the society of transcendental sound vibration, he appears as the holy name. And in the society of food, in the society of Anna, he appears as Prasadam. So this prasadam that we have every day, that we are blessed with, the fortune that we have of having prasadam every single day, we should have full conviction and full faith that this prasadam is the manifestation of Krishna. Krishna is personally coming in the form of Anna so that he can purify all of us. Having said this, I stop here. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki jai. Prasadam ki jai. Tai Gaura Premanande. Hari Hari Bol. Samasta Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki